What's up, guys? My name is Carter Ray. This is my sister Maddie, and today we're going to be doing a question and answer video for her. I see a lot of videos on YouTube of trans people talking to their family members, their siblings, and they kind of give their experience of what they were kind of going through and experiencing when, you know, the trans person was transitioning. So I think it'd be actually really cool to give maybe a different perspective from somebody who maybe not have been all on board from the jump. I think it's important to share those experiences because they're real. I want to hopefully help somebody who has a sibling, cousin, nephew, whatever it is, parent, I don't know, whatever it is, who is going to be transitioning, and hopefully give a little bit of insight of what somebody went through when they weren't totally maybe educated, would you say? Or you
just didn't understand.
Okay, like someone who didn't understand what maybe I was going through
why
all those questions. Yeah, so maybe you can give them like a little bit of like who you are just as a person.
Well, I'm 20 years old. I go to Baylor University. I'm a religion major and communications major, so I'm studying the Bible, which is, I know that's also a thing that like kind of hindered my process of, you know, accepting Carter. And I love hanging out with friends, doing crazy things. I mean,
She's weird. She's really weird.
I am a weird person, I get that, but I'm fun to be around. I get told. I'm a joy.
It's like, that's also too why I wanted to make this video, is for, you know, someone coming from a religious background, having a sibling that's going through this, and really the struggle of understanding. I am not the only one transitioning, and for a very long time I didn't understand that, and I was very angry. You know, I just wanted my family's support, and I think it is hard too when you do see families that are very supportive of and like all for it, and then I'm like, why can't mine be from, you know? But it's a process, and it's literally a transition. So there you have
for
to
everyone.
give for everybody, and you have to give, like, I had to give that transition period, and I'm glad that things have changed, and I'm glad that like things are different now, because like we do have and I think that it has been cool to see the change in my entire family, from where we were, like,
even just last year.
I mean, even just last year, with obviously too everything that I have been going through this year, you know, just kind of growing as people, like as we go through life, like take like the gender aside from it, just like going through life and like hardships, you know, me moving out, and like I think that also like created a good like bond, because we weren't with each other all the time. I guess I'll jump in. Thank you guys for sending in your questions. I think they're really great questions. I kind of selected the ones that I felt were best. She has no idea what I'm asking. I really want this to be raw and real as possible. I already did give her like kind of the go ahead to not hold back, and I think it's really important to really say what you were going through and like how you were feeling and all those when it comes to these questions. So how did you first find out that I was trans?
So honestly, I didn't really know what was going on. I was like, what, 13, 14 at the time? So I'm 20 now. But honestly, it was, you were telling mom and dad out in the family room, and I was a little nosy little 13-year-old, so I like snuck around and I like just was listening because I heard that you were like in trouble, or someone like whenever someone was talking in the family room, it was like they're in trouble, like any of the siblings. So I was like, I need to know.
You had to eavesdrop.
Yeah, because
you're nosy,
and because I'm the best kid, so I had to know what was going on. So I was just listening, and then I was like, wait,
what?
That's a good
turn. Wait, you what? That took a turn.
And I was like 13 or 14, and I just had no idea what was going on. And why is there like crying? What's going on? And I was like, well, that's more intriguing. Get popcorn, I guess. But what? I was just kind of shocked. I didn't know what that meant. Oh, I feel like a guy inside, or I feel like I'm actually a boy trapped in a girl's body. That was before your first surgery, I think. And then I was like,
it was before I even like was on like hormones.
Anything, and I was like, the heck? And so that's kind of how it all started. And then after that, it was like, okay, surgery. It was like a process. Then it was like, just, all right, this is what's happening.
Did you ever suspect that I was trans?
I don't think I did, because it was like when grandma got us stuff, it was like we both got the same dress or whatever. Like it was like we got the same stuff. Or like when mom and dad would get us an outfit, it was like Taylor and Parker matched, and then Maddie and Tori matched. It was like, that's how it went. I knew you were a tomboy. I knew that. But also, we don't really come from a girly family either. Like I'm not girly. We're not. So I think it was just more of like, we all play sports. We all did, like, it wasn't, I didn't really think anything of it.
How did you feel when you did find out?
I think it was more of a thing that no one talked about, which I think made it harder. How it all went down was very blindsiding because it wasn't talked about. So it was like, oh, Carter's getting surgery. Oh, Carter's now getting hormones. Oh, now testosterone. Like all these things. It was just like, oh, all right. Like it was just like another thing, and I didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. Or like your second surgery, like you didn't tell anyone about it.
And there was reasons for that, for me doing that at the time. Like I was under my parents' insurance, so I felt like I couldn't tell them because I was 18, so the doctor can't tell them, like mm-hmm. that I'm having it. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. And then, because I know if I tell them, because right now they weren't, at that point in my life, they were not supportive of what I was going through and of my mm-hmm. transition. So like, I was like, if I tell them, like, they're going to just call happen. And like, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to do it. So there's like literally like.
No, and I think it was more of like, my role model has been taken, because if Tori had gotten a grilled cheese at his place, I got a grilled cheese. It was like whatever Tori did, I wanted to do. And it was like, I think I was kind of just like confused. And
would you say that you like looked up to me?
Yeah.
Like...
Carter still is happy-go-lucky, fun. With all the tension that was in our family, that kind of got taken away for a hot second. That joy, well, shoot, now that like she's a guy, like that's not fun. Like you're not fun anymore. Like, you're not fun to be around. So I was more pissed that it was like,
yeah,
you're not
I think I did also because of my family wasn't supportive of me from the beginning. I was very angry. I wasn't a sad person before. I was always very energetic and like enthusiastic and everything like that. And like I just happened to be trans. When I had came out and like my family wasn't supportive, I was angry. They assumed, oh, see, this transition is making him angry. And I'm like, no, if you guys were supportive, I wouldn't be angry. But it's, so it was like, there was a lot of like miscommunication and like a lot of like people's feelings that everyone was going through it. So do you feel like our relationship has changed?
Yes. I just never knew where Carter stood. So it was like, okay, was Carter going to come home and be pissed, or was Carter going to be okay? And so it was always like walking on eggshells with everything. The name transition of like saying she and not he, like that was hard for Carter, but also hard for us, I think, too, because I grew up 15 years and it was she. And I think also I was very stubborn and I just didn't want to say it. If I ever said she, or I would try and, which like was not right of me, I look back on it, I'm like, I would say like, what up dude, or like, what's up dog, like I would say those things so that I didn't say he or she, but it's like, that doesn't make them a person. Like that doesn't make you a person, and that's not right. And so I think that I was like, well, what does my faith believe about this, or what does the Bible say about this? And there's nothing in there about it when it comes to transgender. So I was like, well, shoot, what do I got to do? And the only thing that I found was like, I think I realized this later, and instead of just being stubborn and stupid and not like calling you he, like how you would like to be called, and not loving you well, I was like, well, I'm going to be right. I have to be right. I'm the right person. I'm always right. Like all this stuff. But I think it wasn't until I went off and I was away for a little bit and I really started like reading up about things and seeing how it was to be transgender. Like I read a lot of articles about families and why can't we just love people well and love them how they need to be loved. And I think when I came back from college, I started just saying he, brother, Carter. And it was honestly so much better to just say those things and like to do it, and then it became part of who you are, and I started recognizing you as that once I started calling you Carter
and accepting it for yourself too.
And like realizing that, okay, my religion tells me to love people, so why would I not do that? If I'm looking for answers, quote unquote, to okay, what should I do with this transgender thing? Well, I kept coming up with the idea to love you, and to love you and not make you pissed or angry was to say he, Carter. And so once I started doing that, and I think I was doing it just to love you and just be like, okay, that's for you. Like, I still don't think it, but just because just to keep you around. It was like more of like, okay, if I want to have a conversation with Carter, I'm just going to have to do what Carter wants me to do. And that's how it's going to go. But once I started doing that, honestly, like now I don't even say she, because I'm like, that's not who Carter is. And that's not like why would I do that to make you pissed? And why would I do that? And now it has become part of you. And I recognize you as a male, a man, Carter, he, like all those things. And so at first, like a year and a half ago, I was like, I'll just say it just to make you happy. But now it's a part of you. Why do I get to decide who you are?
By the way, I would have never thought my sister would say any of that.
Yeah. If you asked me what siblings I had, I would say I have 2 brothers and a sister, and that's it. But I don't wouldn't have said anything else. But now I have 3 older brothers, and everyone knows it. Every one of my friends, all of them know Carter. Now, I wouldn't even have a picture of Carter in my room, but at college, I have pictures of Carter up. It's, oh yeah, those are my 3 brothers at graduation with me. Okay, I looked for answers, and I kept coming up with the thing that, like, God loves people. And so if we want to do that, then I'm gonna love. And that's what it looked like to do that. I'd rather be with you and hang out with you, because honestly, like, we have the same sense of humor. We're both idiots. And so, like, missing that for those couple years that I was upset and, like, just confused, I missed that so much more than my idea of me being right, quote unquote.
Yeah. Have you received any hate from friends just simply because of who I am? And if you have, how have you dealt with that?
I realized that my friends ask more questions about it.
If you were to say, oh yeah, my brother's transgender, like, would they be like, what does that mean?
When did that happen? How did that happen? They ask a lot of questions about, like, oh, how did your family handle that? And I tell them honestly, like, my family was kind of like, there was a lot of tension. And I think that we have had time to process it more. And I think reading up about, honestly, like, I think that's where I grew a lot, is I would read articles about transgender people and, like, what they go through. And I think that helped me a lot, because I was like, oh my gosh, what, like, oh, they're human? Like, oh, what?
Look at that.
Both of us, I think, talking about things is really helpful.
If you could give advice to a sibling who has a transgender sibling, and maybe they're having a little bit of a hard time with it, what would you say to them?
It's not what you thought, and that's okay. Like, that's life. Like, there's nothing that you can plan, and there's nothing that you can decide for life. Like, and also, like, that's their decision. Like, we're both human, and we both have our own mindset and our own decisions, our own choices. We have our own choices. That's not on me what Carter decides, and that's okay. But don't shut the people out, because honestly, like, they're still family, and or a cousin or whatever. It's still family, or even your friends. Like, they're people, and, like, appreciate the fact that we all have our own decisions to make. That is so cool. Like, that we have the ability to think for ourselves. We still, like, need to love them. Yeah, I encourage to read up on things. Accept them truly from your heart. When we say it was, like, hard, like, there were weeks or months where I didn't talk to Carter at all. I invite Carter to come over.
It's like, hey, what are you doing? Let's hang out. Like, I want to see you.
Like, that's never
yeah, and that wasn't until, like, I would say this year.
Yeah, like, I love Carter, and Carter's probably actually one of my favorite siblings. Let's not say anything. But like, I love Carter, and I know Carter would stick up for me in any situation, and I love Carter so much. And I think that, honestly, like, it starts with love, and I think everyone has different ideas of what love looks like. But I think you just start with loving a person for a person, and acknowledging that they are human, and that they are people, and that they have their own choices to make.
And I love you too. Even though I'm not religious, I'm proud that you do what you want to do. I'm able to say that, like, I'm proud of you to, like, and I encourage you to go and do those things. And, like,
I'm proud of you. I can't wait to see your movie that's coming out. I can't wait to see all those. Like, I'm flying in from Texas to come to see Carter's movie. Like, that's, like, how important it is to me.
If my sister needed anything, I would be there. And if I needed anything, I know she'd be there. And, like, I love you.
It's crazy. I really hope that both those sides can process like we did. Like, this can be an example.
Well, that's it for today's video.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you guys for listening in. Hopefully this helped you in some way, shape, or form, or just helped you give a better perspective on different sides to different stories. Love you guys so much. All right, guys, take care.